Very good morning and all the best, Anoop. Hello, am I audible?
Hello, hello, hello. Am I audible? Just as right. Just as right.
एक बार अश्विनी सर फिर बोलना।
Hello, am I audible?
आवाज ही नहीं आ रही है। मैं रीलॉग इन करूं क्या? मैं लीव करके रीजॉइन करता हूं। लीव। लीव। हेलो 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 हेलो।
अरे ज्वाइन तो करो उसको।
ज्वाइन तो कर लिया मैंने। वेबकैम शेयरिंग कर रहा हूँ। मेरी आवाज ही नहीं आ रही है। आ रही है? आ रही है। ठीक है। ओके। लेकिन मुझे उनकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है। ठीक है। मतलब मुझे आप जब बोलेंगे तो लाउड स्पीकर लगा देना अपना वाला। ठीक है। सर कैन आई स्टार्ट माय प्रेजेंटेशन?
Hello. Good morning, sir. Sir, you are not audible. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, please start.
Yeah, yes, sir. Now it's audible, sir.
Yes, yes. Yes,
Okay.
yes, Dr. Gupta, please start.
Okay. Yes, sir. So, good morning, friends. Today we have our presentation of Mr. Anoop Mohanty. The presentation related to his PhD thesis, and the topic of his thesis is influence of consumer technology readiness of continuous intention towards e-banking launch service. Sir, we have present along with you my colleague and his supervisor, Dr. Ashwini Panesar, and his co-supervisor, Dr. Maninder Singh. Uh, it is customary, colleagues, dear friends and colleagues, to introduce our guest today. Our guest is Professor Karam Pal. He is currently professor in management and Doon, Haryana School of Business, Guru Jambeshwar University of Science and Technology, Hisar, Haryana. And I have seen sir profile. It is related. It seems to be 85 pages, and sir has presented more than 225 research papers, which includes journals of international national repute. He has successfully authored, edited more than 20 books and the contemporary areas of his academic and research interest. So, with your permission, can I ask Mr. Anoop sir to go ahead?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay, so Mr. Anoop, you can take 35 minutes for your presentation, followed by question and answers. Okay, go ahead. Be little loud and clear.
Good morning, everyone. Uh, Let me start with my presentation. Now, the topic for today's presentation is influence of consumer technology readiness on continent's intention towards e-banking launch. Now, you see, this is the title of today's presentation. Let me go into my index of my presentation because you see, this is going to be a very heavy presentation. Completing it in 35 minutes is a bit tough. Let me try it. So, if I go by my index, it will be
You
introduction followed by
you please
literature review,
you please take
basic
your time,
front-end
Mr.
logic,
Mohanty.
and then discussion on measurement skills that we are using in, followed by research objective and formulation of hypothesis, carried forward with development of various context specific questionnaire that was used in this study, followed by data collection and analysis. Now you see this entire report will be presented in approximately 86 slides. Let me start. Now you see the introduction and basic foundation of the study. If you go now, if you look into this particular current scenario, we are dealing in with a situation where you see branches in terms of size they are very small, but when it comes to customer visiting them, they have grown in number. Now since independence, the customer base has increased tremendously, and you can see the transition from where we were doing it in branch model with extremely less number of people visiting it. Now going towards another situation where it is banks with branches and heavy crowd in it, and the future of banking is all about, like you see, smart branches where customer will be taking it off their own, using self-service technologies. Now this is mainly, this study is all about a concept what is called as self-service technology, and initial experimentation is being done in metros. So if you go forward, the topic of our study is e-banking launch. How we take up this term is like the present screen is showing you one display from Bank of India e-gallery, which is again a synonym for e-lounge only. So this is actually a small box branch where you have technology in place like ATM. All of us know ATM, but now we have hybrid ATM too, where we are bringing in cash deposit machine, passbook printing machine, coin, and you see various other technologies which are helping customer to have their service of their own. You can do your KYC updation in an ATM, you can apply for a loan, everything is done through an ATM itself. Now you see, moving forward, when it comes to definition, if you search in literature review, you don't find much in context of e-banking launch. We do have e-banking, but e-banking launch service is not there much in debate. So defining this definition is like you see, again we have to take references from various banks and their websites. uh, E-banking lounge is a service delivery platform where customers are actually going to do their own service fulfillments by going to an automated platform. It can have any type of service that you can usually avail in a branch. So now you see, this is what we have in terms of definition. Now different variants for e-banking lounge which are available in market is like you have Digi Lounge, Digi Zone, offered by a syndicate bank, e-lounge by so many banks like IDBI, Canara, Lakshmi Vilas Bank, and many other. E-gallery is a concept with Bank of India. E-corner is a concept by State Bank of India. Union Comfort was a concept offered by Union Bank of India. E-lobby by Vijay Bank, PNB. Likewise, every bank has it, but they have a different name altogether. So the moment we started this study and the notion came to me was like, we need to work on e-banking launch. So the first thing is like, this is a totally unknown domain. Everywhere you go in, they don't have a common concept. So we started this study searching for literature review. When we didn't find much in terms of literature review, I thought, let me go with the RTI, to Reserve Bank of India, and Ministry of Finance to initiate this study from their perspective first. Maybe they do have something common which can be asked from every bank. Now you see, when I went to Ministry of Finance and RBI, they refused it because they don't have anything mentioned like this. But later on, what I did is like, I started searching for questions from different banks. So I approached all public sector and private sector banks. For public sector banks, it was your RTI route. For private sector bank, I started searching into their website, uh, and I found like you see, commendable information is available through RTI. It was a time consuming process. You see, I'm on this screen, I'm showing you two RTIs. One was given to Allahabad Bank and second was given to PNB. So in one, I'm asking questions. So these were the questions which were raised. And in second, I got a response from their side where they were defining it, ki how many e-lounge point they do have it in North India. Now, you see, I'll define it what is North India in our study. So when it comes to literature review, you see, again, let me go into the theoretical foundation first. The main theories which have been there in usage, they are like technology readiness index, which is like again given by Parshuraman in the year 2000. And then this was the major base of my entire research model, followed by another theory given by the same expert, which was on service quality in 1985. Now, thereafter, there are many theories which have been like working on understanding the adoption pattern of technology by consumers. So they all have been referred. You see, this is in my initial stage. I have to go through everything so that we can come up to something meaningful. For doing literature review, AI has been taken into use lately. So this is one platform which is connected papers, through which you can see it here. The one of the construct which I'm using in my study is individual technology readiness or consumer technology readiness. So it is just a glimpse how you can get related papers very fast. So it helps you to get meaningful paper in a very short period of time. Now you see, when it comes to a summary of total literature review that we have done, it was approximately 700 papers who have been like used in writing this thesis, which consist of various subdomains of service quality, individual technology readiness, satisfaction, trust, and continence intention. Now you see, not only this, but also the research methodology was very important, for which again we have referred so many papers to deal with validation issues, questionnaire development, sampling frame, and many other things which are related to this study. Now you see, just a minute. We do have a grid. I don't know whether my hyperlink will work on my class. No, it is not working. So if you want, I can show you separately. Now you see, this is one more AI tool which helps you in getting related papers. This is Rabbit Research. Now with this, let me jump over to my the research gap. Sorry. This is a research gap that I have figured out from my existing literature. This is way back in 2013-14 when I started this topic. Now you see, point is like at that time, this concept of e-banking lounge was introduced into Indian banking in 2011 on trial basis, and I started my PhD in 2014. So you see, this period was a period where different banks were experimenting with this idea of e-banking lounge. They were trying to bring in especially into metro locations, into locations where people are good into technology. So the same is taken up. Now, in this research gap, the four major areas have been taken up. So first one was like, you see, lack of awareness. So if you do have a product which is not known to people, so due to lack of awareness, there will be poor performance in terms of like utilization may not be there. The same thing is like you will find it later when it is finding part. Second segment, which is important for my study, and again it is something to look into literature review, is like, you see, customer mapping according to technology readiness is a subject which is very important. But you see, in Indian context and especially into banking context, we don't have many studies into it. So you see, you go into hospitality, tour and tourism, you go into healthcare, you will find many studies into it. But when it comes to banking, especially e-banking lounge, which is actually a self-service terminal type of thing, and this technology mapping, so both concepts are very meaningful to connect. So you see, we don't have much of study, but again there are some people who have worked on it. So their studies have been mentioned it clearly, they have used TIA to predict the usage in Indian banks. Now you see, this is year 2018. They have started using it in 2012 again. Hish Lin and Hish, they did something like they did it on a general subject, not on banking. So now point is like, you see, we need to have something specifically related to e-banking launch, the product which was like initially initiated by the time I started my PhD. Further going into it, now you see, trust and satisfaction, there are two more variables in my study. So again, you see, when you're bringing in anything related to technology, people may have their issues with trust, and maybe due to lack of trust, how they utilize it, maybe it may affect their satisfaction also.
Mohanty sir, be precise about research gap. Just tell us in points what are the key research gap, followed by objectives and methodology.
See, you see, if I go back and I tell you about my research gap, I'll tell you, like, you see, in first case, awareness is something which is like missing. So because even RBI don't have much of information. So we need to work on it, and this study may bring in something in record. Second is like customer technology readiness dimension is very important. And if we club this with something related to banking interface, will be great for bankers. Now they will be able to bring in something like this. I'll share you my implications, like what type of implications are there for society after this study. So now next is like you see lack of trust is again a serious issue, followed by continence intention. This is the final dependent variable of my study. So this study may help us understand how people are using it and why they are not able to sustain it for long. Actually question is like whether they are using it or not. So continence is like once you join, whether you are going to continue it or not. So this is what is going to be studied in this. Now you see relevance of this study. If you look at now, you see these are the different types of branches that you have. We'll simply talk about branch model, because you see here you don't have any requirement of a full-time staff. Now this study is e-banking lounge, and now you see the replica of the same is like box branch, where we don't need manpower, and we'll be doing something where like without human intervention, customer will be doing it all self. You see, when you compare all these four types of branches, you'll find them to be most cost effective, most efficient, 24 into 7 availability. And you see the future is all about cost cutting and revenue maximization. So this is a good model recommended through this study. Now you see, if I again go through this e-banking lounge and box branch method, you'll find this is a study actually given by Indian Banking Association and BCG. They collectively did a study in 2014 in which it was found that ATM and POS, these are widely used, but when it comes to cash deposit machine, check deposit, passbook printer, and self-service kiosk, they were not at all used. So this is an area where they actually want to have some sort of future studies and some sort of awareness and creation of publicity so that people can use it. So this is the same point which gave me an idea to work on this topic. Now, with this, let me go to my research methodology section. Now, in research methodology, the first segment which I'm going to cover is like why it is North India we are picking it up. Now, you see, there are three rationales for this. One is like if you look into the North India and you try to see the active saving bank accounts with debit card usage at ATM, you'll find North India is lacking as compared to other parts. So, second is like during that time of 2011 to 15, there was a campaign, Smart City campaign, India campaign was going on. So what I did is like I aligned my study in line to their findings. They were identifying certain cities. So my selection of cities and is mainly aligned to Smart City campaign, because they were selecting these cities based on their existing infrastructure. And like you see, these are, if they are considered to be the best in terms of infrastructure, you see, then they should be looked at for this study. Maybe rural area may not have this type of study possible, but in urban areas and metros can be possible. Now you see, now North India, how do we define it? Is like it is according to the RBI's definition. Now you see, in North India, RBI has put up approximately 6 states and 1 UT, starting from J&K, Haryana, Himachal, Punjab, Rajasthan, Delhi, and 1 UT, which is like Chandigarh. Okay, so with this area, we started our study. In every state, I tried to pick up two main cities which were covered under Smart City campaign. So, and the third thing is like you see, if you look into the statistics given in my report, you'll find that staff density is declining per branch. So, it is again promoting to our rational. And if we go further into our study, you see the sam. Yes, sir.
एक मिनट hold. Hello. Hello, sir. Karam, sir.
Yes, please.
Hello. Sir, would you like to speak something?
Yeah, please continue.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir,
Please
to
continue.
carry forward. So to carry forward, I would like to say, like you see in this area, in sampling frame, what we did is like we selected 6 states and then 1 UT. And in these 6 states, we tried to figure out which are the cities mapped with the first phase and the second phase of Smart India campaign, Smart City India campaign. So after that, you see, we tried to bring in equal proportion from all the cities. Why? Because you see, this will bring in like some sort of generalization, which will be much better. Now you see on this side, we do have states and the cities in those states which have been identified. There are some exceptions to this, like Srinagar in 2000, like when I was doing my physical survey, Now this Article 370 was like revoked. Hence, there was law and order issue, and Srinagar was not viable. Second thing is like in the state of Himachal Pradesh, we don't have any second metro place except Shimla, and even Shimla is having very less population. So in order to have a representation from Himachal Pradesh, we picked the entire data set of 150 respondents from Shimla only. Now, likewise, we are putting in for every city. If there are two cities in a state, we'll try to put in 75 per city. But if it is only one city in a state, like in case of Himachal Pradesh, it is complete 150 is going to be done from Shimla only. Now, you see, the main target audience is people who are existing users and they are into retail banking segment. Now, you see, the method of sampling is purposive sampling. So it is actually, we are first doing it into stratified, like we are creating layers, and then from those layers, we are trying to put in something called as like specific people who are our target audience. So we use branch intercept model to like e-lounge point intercept model to collect the responses. Now you see, going forward, let's go into measurement of scales that were used. So in my total study, there are total five major variables. Consumer technology readiness is my independent variable. Continence intention is my final dependent variable. And in between, I do have satisfaction and trust as two mediating variables. And finally, service quality was one of the moderating variable in my study. So if you look at my diagram, something looks like this. So now you see in this is my consumer technology readiness. On the other extreme, I do have my continence intention. In center, this is satisfaction, and in the bottom, it is trust, and at the top, this side, it is service quality. So service quality is going to moderate, uh, uh, and it will have an effect on satisfaction. This is what I proposed in this study. So when it comes to like my questionnaire demo, this is actually the various demographic variables that we have kept in: gender, age, educational qualification, what channel was used to create awareness for people at large, and then reporting channel in case there is a grievance or some problem that you're facing, years of experience, time you visited last during in your branch. So these were the various variables that have been kept into my like data collection. Now you see, when it comes to purely construct based data, so there are total five constructs. So first construct, a major construct, is consumer technology readiness with four sub dimensions in it. They are optimism, innovativeness, discomfort, and insecurity. So this entire construct was like, you see, I'll say adopted from Parshuramman scale. Now followed by a second scale was service quality. Again, it is Parshuramman, but in collaboration with other researchers. Now you see, in service quality, there are actually five variables. That is reliability, assurance, tangibility, responsiveness, and one more, which is empathy. But in this study, because we are dealing with some self-service technology, and you see, this is all about doing transactions of self. You see, empathy is lacking, so we don't have this empathy in our utilization for our study. Followed by user satisfaction, trust, and continence intention. So a total of five major construct, and if you go internally, you'll find approximately 11 minor constructs are there. Now you see, this is the first diagram is representing consumer technology readiness in center, and then optimism, innovativeness, insecurity, discomfort. And on the right side, I do have second this dimension, which is service quality. Here you do have reliability, assurance, tangibility, and responsiveness. Now you see, let me tell you, this is my reflective construct. This is my formative construct. So there is a complexity that I'm bringing in multiple types of construct in my study. Then satisfaction, followed by trust, and they all have been taken up from some proper reference. Continence intention, which is actually my dependent variable. So now carrying it forward. So research objectives, there are total five research objectives. First objective was to study the usage pattern of e-banking launch, followed by my second study was like objective was to measure the consumer technology readiness of e-banking launch service users. Actually, so the people who are actually using it, the pattern for whom we are trying to figure out something in terms of usage, how are they using it. So we are trying to classify them into various technology groups based on their traits. Now the third objective is like it is to see the relationship between consumer technology readiness and continence intention. This is in context to e-banking launch. Fourth objective is to investigate the effect of user satisfaction on the relationship between consumer technology readiness and continence intention. The fifth objective is to investigate the effect of trust on the relationship between consumer technology readiness and continence intention. Now you see here, these are the five objectives that we have. Now execution will be done like first objective is all like you see, we will be putting up descriptive statistics and will be using Tableau software for visualization. For objective 2, where we were trying to do like grouping for customers based on their consumer technology readiness score, is like based, it will be using a cluster analysis technique, and this will be based on your primary data. First one is like everything is into primary. Then third objective is like to investigate the effect of service quality on the relationship between consumer technology readiness and continuous. You see, for objective 3, 4, 5, we are using smart PLS. Now you see, smart PLS was used over MOS software. The reason is like, you see, because I do have formative and reflective skill both, so it is difficult in MOS to deal with it. So I opted for smart PLS, keeping this thing in mind. And moreover, you see, there are 11 subconstructs in total, and you see there are so many like observations or variables which are to be taken into your analysis. So it was very tough to do it through MOS. Now, let's go into research hypothesis. Now, in my research hypothesis, there are total 6 research hypotheses which are to be taken care of. So, consumer technology readiness, first hypothesis is consumer technology readiness has no significant relationship on continence intention. So, there is no relationship actually on my base study model. Then, second is like the independent variable, which is consumer technology readiness has no influence on user satisfaction. Similarly, consumer technology readiness has no influence on trust. So, these are the two mediating variables on which consumer technology readiness, right now I'm saying there is no significant influence. Followed up with service quality may moderate the relationship between consumer technology readiness and user satisfaction. And finally, going into the dimension of user satisfaction, may be playing an important role when it comes to the relationship between consumer technology readiness and continence intention. Similarly, the next mediating variable is trust. Do not mediate the relationship between consumer technology readiness and continence intention. So these were the research hypotheses. Next is like development of my questionnaires specific. So I've used Churchill, who has given a very detailed process. And you see, this process was very lengthy, preparing a questionnaire almost 6 to 7 times. It has been reframed. And you see, this paper was very useful to understand. And the process of development was actually triangulation approach, where initially I have to go for qualitative design, where I have to talk to experts from industry who are there in user experience industry. Then I have to talk to bankers for getting their feedback on the given domain. Then I have to talk to consumers also, because what technical people will speak, maybe consumer don't understand. So initially there were many rounds whereby I initially tested my thoughted questionnaire with many different categories, got their feedback, and then proceeded further for second type of analysis, which is quantitative design, where you see literature report I started looking at, started collecting items related to various constructs from different papers, and then merging them together, and again trying to see whether something meaningful is coming out. So triangulation approach is actually used. Now you see, there are so many experts who have helped me, and it is all through ResearchGate. Now you see, they all are international experts, followed by national set of experts who came in. They, most of them, they were admissions, plus there are many people who are from industry also who helped me up. Now you see here, there are industry experts who are from mainly banking domain and technology domain who helped me on this particular thing. Now finally, we do have expert panel, which was, you see, getting it done by many, let's say 50, 60 people is very tough. So the methodology is all about like fixing the number of experts whom you are going to count for your proper questionnaire development. So Dr. Gurjeet Kaur, ma'am is professor at University of Jammu. Dr. Hari Babu, who is an associate professor with Symbiosis Institute, was taken as second person. Third person is Dr. Roktim Sharma, who earlier worked with LPU, but now he's a senior manager at Pharmacist. Then we do have Mr. Shankar Subramaniam, who is Chief Manager, Retail Operation with State Bank of India. And then we do have Mr. Anoop Mohanty, who is again Chief Manager with South Indian Bank. So they all helped me a lot in finalizing my questionnaire. Next step is data collection and cleaning exercise. I'll just give you a short glimpse of how it happened. Now, you see, before you start your analysis, you need to make sure your data is all good and clean and is actually ready to go. Now, you see, in this case, what I did is like I started creating patterns. It is a very simple technique in Excel. So using this, I'm missing out the technique through which you can get a coloring pattern, like what type of responses are coming in. This will help me to understand what sort of feedback is coming in, whether it makes sense or it is totally confusing. Okay, so and one more thing is there. Outlier is something which you need to identify at the beginning itself. So for this only, you see the second image at the bottom, you'll find one row which is orange in color, where 222, maybe 222 is what is mentioned there. So you see, if someone is giving me a response without reading my question, I try to track it like this. And in third row, you can see pink responses means again someone is giving similar sort of response. Row number 3 and 4 is green in color. What it means? 444. This was mainly response bias. So we need to segregate this out in my initial stage only, so as to complete my data set and complete my set of responses before I start my analysis. So I did it through this way, apart from other data cleaning techniques that we had. Now, in terms of my analysis, the first segment of my analysis is related to objective one, where I use Tableau. Now, you see, Tableau, various types of analysis have been done. I'll just list them in brief. Age-wise responses were generated and their feedback is plotted. Cluster-wise, member-wise, like you see, cluster means when I say total respondents were categorized into three categories, and their behavior pattern was tried to be usage behavior pattern was tried to be put onto paper. Channel utilization for customer awareness, educational qualification. If you see this, you'll remember my demographic part of my questionnaire. So I actually try to search this only for usage pattern, understanding what they're trying to do. So these are the various observations. The one general thing which I'll tell you is, like, you see, usage pattern in most of the services which are offered by e-launch point, e-banking launch point is, like, you see, the people are, I don't know, they are not using it to the max. So many people have no exposure to many of these services which are offered by e-banking launch points. So there need to be a like a reason which need to be figured out by different banks. Banks are investing so heavily, but if you don't know a reason why people are not using it, is actually a major concern. So this study may help them to figure out something on the same. Now, the second objective uh, is to measure customer technology readiness, or to cluster people into different groups based on their traits. So SPSS was used. So cluster analysis is actually, you see, what we do is, like, we group people according to some sort of similarity. So for cluster analysis, I actually used this consumer technology readiness construct given by Parshuraman. So there are total, like you see, in Parshuraman scale, there were approximately 16 items for four subconstructs. But looking into our study, so we did a slightly customization, and you see some particular statements in line to e-banking launch were inserted. So on doing this analysis, there were three groups which were found. Now you see, this cluster analysis was actually a two-step process. In first, I applied hierarchical clustering method to understand, like, without any biasness from my side, how many groups are forming. Actually, it gave three response. So again, we used k-means clustering by giving them this software a clear instruction that three groups need to be formed. Now the total population was split into three parts depending on their like traits. So first group was having 136 participant in it. Second group had 332 people in it, and third group had 582 people. So you see, later on I put their name as Lagarde, early adopter and innovator, using the theory which has been given by Parshuraman. And you see, these are the various items which have been used for mapping their responses. So they all are related to e-banking launch point and how the people are taking it, covering optimism, innovativeness, discomfort, and insecurity. These are the four dimensions which were there. Now, if you go forward, you will see their traits are clearly mentioned here. So Lagards with low optimism means no positivity. They are not very innovative. Lagarde means someone who is lagging. So discomfort is also a little bit more. Insecurity is a key factor. They don't want to play with it. Now, then you have early adopters and you have innovators. Innovators on the other side, they are very extreme. Like, they're, maybe, you see, when I did my study, and you will find it in my findings later, the major portion of the respondents that we found in these e-lounge points were young people. Young people means they are very optimist. They don't have any fear factor. Maybe people who are in middle age group and senior citizen category, they may be reluctant to use these technologies and may prefer to go to branches rather. So because we did it in e-lounge point only, so hence you see most of the people who are coming in is falling into this category of innovators, and very few of them, they were put into Lagarde and early adopter category. Now, going forward, for objective 345, we have used smart PLS. This was my actual model. The inner circle is not a circle, but it is actually a line, blue color line, which is representing. So this is my structural model, and then outside models are, they are my measurement models. So now, in order to prove my model worth, so you see, the analysis has to be done. So for reflective measurement model, there was one set of parameters which were used for formative, there was a second set of parameter. So let's cover them all one by one. And it is actually here who gave these the entire phenomena. So this image is actually taken from Hare et al. 2013. Now going forward, identification of reflective measurement models. Now you see reflective scale is nothing but it is actually composed of indicators that are collectively reflecting latent construct. Means you see here it is like you see this is one form of construct. The second form of construct is a formative scale. Now you see formative scale are constructed by combining indicators that define or form latent variable with each indicator representing a distinct aspect. Here it is distinct aspect. Every statement which is there in a formative scale may be representing something different, but whereas in reflective it may not be the case. So in case you delete any one construct, any one subconstruct, or any one item from your construct, maybe you see it affects the entire study. So it may bring in an element of error. So going forward, we actually used confirmatory tetrad analysis. Again, you see this was one technique to understand whether a construct is a formative scale or a reflective scale. So distinction is must. So you see theory supports it, but along with it you need to prove it statistically also. So for this, one major prerequisite is like you need to have minimum 4 variables. Yani per construct you need to have minimum 4 variables for your study. Now you see how to check it is like this is just a dummy picture taken from net. Here if you see you have lower confidence interval, lower limit, and then you have upper limit. So if you see both these limits, I'll take you to the next slide, which is from my study. So in this study, I'm just showing it for one of my variable. Now you see this variable is like where I'm studying it, and if you see the lower confidence interval lower value and confidence interval upper value, in first case it is -1 -0.087 to 0.02. Now what is happening is like if you see these two extremes, if you find 0 coming in between, that is where you see you need to like you see if 0 is coming in, it means it is going to be a rejection. And similarly you see all these cases have been rejected. Finally, we got something which is accepted. If you see at these values, lower and upper value, 0.027 to 0.147. So you see here, you don't have any 0 in between. 0 is not coming in. Both values are greater than 0. So hence it is as it has been accepted. Now, ultimate way to measure it is like if you get some of the items in your entire this particular construct as rejected, means now you have to accept this as a formative scale. Now you see null hypothesis getting rejected means 0 lies in between two extremes of confidence interval, low adjustment value and upper adjustment value. Hence, it indicates that the given scale is a formative in nature. Now this was used to identify all the constructs, whether they are formative or reflective. Now you see, let's go into now evaluation of these formative and reflective constructs. Now, if you go into reflective construct assessment, these are the following criteria which are to be used. Now, you see internal consistency using Cronbach alpha, composite reliability, average variance explained, uh, Fornell and Lackner criteria, cross-loading. These are the things which will be taken into account when we are trying to check reflective construct assessment. Now we'll do it one by one. Now you see this value is very less. Let me increase it so that I can read the values. Now you see in this, you see on left hand side it is mentioned as internal consistency. On right hand side it is composite reliability. So these are two different aspects. So for internal consistency, what you need to have is like you need to have Cronbach alpha value should be greater than 0.7. So this leads to higher internal consistency. On the other side, we have composite reliability also. Now in composite reliability, again, the value needs to be greater than 70. Now you see in this case, consumer technology readiness, these are the four subconstructs: optimism, innovativeness, discomfort, and insecurity. Then we have service quality, which is mainly into a formative skill. You see here it is reflective, then again you have formative, and then again reflective. So now you see for reflective, you do get this composite reliability phenomena. For formative, you are not getting any value. So rest all values are of composite reliability, they are greater than 0.7. So it makes sense, like everything is going in order. Next is like we have average variance explained on left side, and we have Fornell and Lackner criteria on right side. Now you see, if you see this again, average variance explained. Now you see for average variance explained, acceptable values for convergent validity, which we are trying to prove is like is it should be greater than 0.5. Now you see 0.7, 0.7, 0.66, 777. Now you see all these values are greater than 0.5. So what it means is like it is suitable for further analysis. Okay, so and one more thing, what it indicates is like this suggests that more than half of the variance in every indicator is explained by the underlying construct. So you see, if they are representing consumer technology readiness, so they are actually helping consumer technology readiness construct as a whole, and they are helping to explain the given phenomena of study. And then in Fornell and Lackner criteria, you see, you need to see the diagonal values. These values should be greater than any other value in your entire column. Now you see, if you cross check it, 0.836 is the biggest value, 0.841 is again the biggest value. So we don't have reliability, assurance, tangibility, and responsiveness. Means these are the four formative constructs. Hence, you don't get any value for this, and we can proceed further. So this indicates that, like you see, things are up to now, everything is good. Now next dimension is cross loading values. Now cross loading values means, like you see here, there is a definition. Now it means is like which an indicator or an item loads on its intended construct. Now you see here at the top there are some labels mentioned. So first is optimism. So statement 1, 2, 3, 4, they are four representing optimism only. Now you see how to check this whether it is correct or not. In the first row, which is S1, you will not find any value which is highest. So if you see the highest value is 0.871. For S2, it is 0.827 is the highest value. Just go through the entire row. Now what it indicates is like these are the four statements which are clubbing together to create this phenomena of optimism. Okay, so likewise you need to move forward, and these are factor loadings when it comes to these values. So it should be greater than 0.7. So none of these values are less than 0.7 is all good, and everything is working according to our expectation. Next is like we do have evaluation for formative scales. So formative scale is like, again, you do have multi-collinearity issue, then which is actually evaluated through variance inflation factor, and then significance of water weights, and then we do have last two variables, which is coefficient of determination R square and predictive relevance, which is Q square. They are used to understand the quality of prediction that is possible through your model. Okay, so they actually assess your structural model. Now you see in this we are trying to look at multi-collinearity first. If you look at this table, you have outer weights, T statistics, P statistics, outer loading, and VIF values. Now you see here, because we are now, this is basically formative scale. So the upper section of your table is actually reflective. So don't look into this. The second one is your formative scale. So here we have to look at these values altogether. Now you see outer weight is actually a phenomena which helps you to understand what contribution is given by this particular indicator to overall construct. Okay, followed by T statistics. T value indicates the significance of each indicator contributing to the formative scale. Now you see T values, these are very important, and it needs to be greater than 1.96. Now here there is slight issues, but apart from this, all other values commendably more than 1.96, because at significance level of 5%, which is 0.05, you see value needs to be something more than 1.96. So statistically, all these values are significant. Now, p value is again going to help us understand the statistical significance of associated t values. Now, you see, next is outer loading. Outer loading is this dimension. So, outer loading, mainly outer loading is not looked for formative scale, but it is meant for reflective scale. But also here also, loading, if it is on a higher side, will help to establish stronger relationships. So, all these values are on a higher side, so it is all good. Now, then we do have VIF values, where values are lying between 3 to 5. Now you see 2.93, 2.7, 2.9. So all values are either less than 3 or in the range of 3 to 5. So anything above 5 is not good. Maybe there you will have multi-collinearity issues which need to be dealt before further analysis. So till now everything is going good. Next is like VIF values. So for this we are going to study only the formative scale. So item wise VIF value for formative scale is given. The first scale was reliability with items from 23 to 29. Second is assurance from, like these are questionnaire items. S30 is a statement to S35. Tangibility is between S36 to S43. Responsiveness is between S44 to S49. Now you see all these VI values, they are in check in the range of 3 to 5. Now more or less they are near to 3 only. Okay, so it all looks good. So they are to be calculated for every indicator in formative scale. Okay, so let's move forward. Now this table is telling you about the significance of outer weights. Now Yes, outer weight is like, you see, the inner value is your factor loading. And you see, this is what is supposed to be greater than zero. 0.6. So all values are greater than zero. 0.6 very easily. And then you do need to see at significance by checking your p-value. P-value everywhere it is less than 0.05. So what it means ki, like, all indicators are having loading greater than 0.708, which is actually your acceptable indicator, and then p-value is less than 0.05. They both are again supporting us in our study. So going forward, now we will be looking into the quality of prediction that is viable in this case. So we are looking into the R square value, which is coefficient of determination. So here you see R square value are used to assess the explanatory power or the goodness of fit of a given structural model. Now you see, structural model is what we were discussing earlier, where we are looking at reflective and formative skills. Now we are going into the, like, you see, in more into it by going into the study of structural model, whether it makes sense to look at or not. So you see, I took this screenshot from Smart PLS software only. Green is an automatic indicator that things are working well, everything is going well. Okay, and whereas if it is something wrong, then it must have been shown in red color. So R square is looking good, but in order to have double check on this, again we are going to look into Q square value. Now Q square value again in Smart PLS will be done using blindfolding procedure. Now you see, in this again what we need to do is, like, we will be Q square using Smart PLS is actually done to assess the predictive relevance of a structural model. Okay, so Q square measure predictive accuracy, whether this type of model can be helpful in future predictions, like anyone can use it later and can understand whether it makes sense or not. So you see, right now it is all going good. Values are as per recommended, so nothing as of now is problematic. Next section that we are going to cover is, like, we are going to cover testing of hypothesis. Now here we'll try to cover up multiple things together. Let me go back. Ah, this is the first hypothesis that we have set in. Now you see, this is between consumer technology readiness and continence intention. Now H not one. Now HO, this is hypothesis, first hypothesis of mine, where it was like we were trying to look into the relationship between consumer technology readiness and its effect on consumer continence intention when it comes to e-banking launch service. So if you look at this, you will find path coefficient is 0.572, which is like is actually helping you to understand. Now two things are to be looked at. One is path coefficient, which tells you the strength and the direction. So it is positive, means it is like it is good. And then p value in this case is again less than 0.05, is again in your favor. So now you see, a low p value indicates the relationship between the path coefficient is statistically significant. Here it is low, means it is significant. Now you see, hence we are trying to have significant relationship, we are trying to reject this. And moving forward, effect of satisfaction, we are going to see satisfaction relationship with consumer technology readiness and further leading to continence intention. So in this again, there are two hypotheses which are going to be evaluated side by side. So here you see, relationship path is mentioned, consumer technology readiness to satisfaction, and later on from satisfaction to continence intention. Why? Because satisfaction was acting as a mediating variable. And you see, if you see here, so you need to look at T statistics. Now if T statistics is greater than 1.96 is all which is supporting us. So T statistics indicates a strong relationship, and p value also tells us the significance, which is again less than 0.05. So hence you see, they were predicting not to have a significant relationship, but here it is actually a significant relationship. So here in both the cases, you see, in second case it is like user satisfaction is actually mediating the relationship of consumer technology readiness and continence intention. Now this is the next hypothesis for testing. It was to examine the moderation effect of service quality on the relationship of consumer technology readiness and satisfaction. Now in this case again, we did used because service quality was moderating variable. Now for moderation, we have used something called as slope analysis. Now you see, slope
Mohanty sir,
analysis.
please be precise. Okay.
Oh, okay, sir. Now you see, in slope analysis, it tells us whether it is relevant or not. Looking into the statistics, it was again, this was not accepted, and service quality does not actually moderate the relationship. The relationship was very minimal. So we need to exclude this thing. And the last segment of my hypothesis testing is where trust is going to be tested uh, on this front. So you see again, we are looking at t values which are more than 1.96 and p values which are less than 0.05. Now moving forward, so this is my summary sheet of my hypothesis testing. Total 6 hypotheses were there. We have accepted only one, which was like related to service quality, and rest every dimension of hypothesis testing has been accepted. Now moving forward, we do have finding and conclusions. Now here we'll look into the first. This is based on my first objective, which is on data analysis. Now you see age and gender distribution. Now males are mainly dominating when it comes to e-lounge visits, and here it is again below 30 years, especially in Chandigarh and Jaipur. And when it comes to females, it is Ludhiana which is coming up with better representation of females. So you see, city wise, we cannot do much. It was only one time visit when we did this survey. So in that period of 5 to 7 days, whosoever is coming in, we have to accept their data. Hence, we cannot control this error. So regional disparity, again, you see gender imbalance across age group is common everywhere. Shimla is a place where you find it to be equitable. Equitable means because in Himachal, literacy rate is on a higher side. So they both are representing equally. Youth representation was strongly felt in the entire survey. So maybe 18 to 30 is what is mainly coming in. Under representation of elderly females. Now see, senior citizen are not more when it comes to the total analysis, and you see in that senior citizen category, females are not there. Is struggling. So gender dynamics, urban city. You see here, the study is like a bit tilted towards Chandigarh and Delhi, where everything is working very well. Whereas you see some cities like you go to Karnal and Faridabad, you'll find there there is a possibility that there are certain differences which are found according to social norms, and like you see certain social criteria which are already set in place. Now technology based clustering, so the entire group is split into three parts based on their grouping, and you see this is again done in the thesis report in detail. The third segment of my analysis is based on the relationships on various constructs that I've studied. The relationship between consumer technology readiness and continence intention is established. Satisfaction has a partial mediation in the relationship of consumer technology readiness and continence intention. The moderation of service quality on satisfaction to continence intention was found to be insignificant and hence neglected out. Trust was again having a partial mediation on the relationship of CTR and CI. Now you see, let's go into the implication part. In terms of implication, I've segregated the slide into two parts. One is for government and regulators, second is for service providers. Now you see, promotion for digitalization and automation is what is government's aim. So the study is also aligned to their objective. Next is like various government schemes can be connected through this concept of technology readiness. So if it is mapped, government can accordingly run various schemes in a much better way. Geographical skill mapping is what government can think about looking into this study. Branch licensing strategy means new branches coming up in densely populated areas where low technology readiness is there is strongly recommended. Likewise, they can understand something how to go for it. Usage data analytics will help us to understand how we can improve the utilization of these services, and we make it sustainable for banks. Repositioning strategic asset means relocating branches from areas where it is no more required and bringing in e-lounge point. Likewise, they can have thought on insights from various, like you see, technology readiness index is actually a method. So what we can do is like regulators may further work on it and can come up with a more comprehensive scale to evaluate this for better utilization. Now, for service provider means IT companies and all who are, or banks who are actually service providers, what they can do is like they can have skill repository for various product development and utilization purpose. Product improvement can be done for sustainability, their future sustainability, because it is cutthroat competition. If you don't change, you have to perish. You see, awareness programs can be targeted according to the skill set of a person. Research initiatives and feedbacks in terms of product development can help banks to refine their offering very well. Eliminate manual requirements. So you see, operational risk will be shifted from banks to customer side. Enhancing banking experience. You see, when you go to e-lounge point, and if it is catered, like if it is taken care well, you see, you may feel delighted like you go to a e-lounge point in an airport. So same is what is our expectation from this study, and what we are trying to quote it to service providers. Now, again, advanced data analytics can be done by these service providers for better customization. Peer group member is where you see again bringing in innovation, improving product offering. Same points are coming in again. Effects for product pricing. Competitive pricing is must. So if you bring in a product which suits to customer requirement at a affordable price is what is the key to success. Millennials are going to bring in a heavy change in utilization of these services so they can be kept into focus. Customer centric customization is important. uh, Government can support these research initiatives because it requires heavy costing and all. So if they can come up and help these service providers will be good. Self-service technology transition is very important. Restructuring of institutions means if you are manually driven institution to something called as technology driven institution, this is what is the need of our. So this is what is an implication which is going to come in. Speed of transition and market leadership is like, you see, this can be outcome of this. Beneficiaries means for customer, it can be a situation where it is hyper customization. You need something and bankers knows it. Why? Because they're using data analytics and understanding your taste and preference. Customer empowerment is what is actually going to happen. This is very important. Now you see, customer don't need to interact with the bank official, and they, if they feel, if they're technology savvy, they can like they can go for their own product customization. So they when they're using technology, they are actually getting empowered, and there is no scope of any mis-selling in it. Mis-selling is like where banks are under some pressure to achieve certain targets. Now you see, here comes the limitation of the study. This is actually a cross-sectional study because the area is huge, and the response size is huge, so it cannot be done for repeated measures. So hence, like sometimes we may have a thought on potential validation issues. Next is like, you see, the actual behavior cannot be scanned so easily just by taking it only in one go. So it can be like in future may be possible that if it is an experimentation which is supported by various banks across industry, so we can have some lab experiments first to get some meaningful outputs, rather than doing it randomly only one in a one time experiment. Now you see, next is like respondents, most of them who are coming to e-launch point, they are educated and experienced users. Hence maybe sometimes doing a generalization of this in for everyone in India is not possible. So it is going to be a limiting factor. So it is only made for metros and for people who are young in terms of like technology adoption. They're good. Next is like COVID lockdown, and then J&K Article 370 abrogation. Lockdown was certain factors which affected this study environment and may have brought in an influence on this result of the study. Then time, money, and efforts are the major constraints that are there. Now the final thing is like the publication that I do have. Now, these are my thesis related publications. The first one is a UGC one, on the basis of which I am allowed to appear in my final Viva. Along with it, there is a recent publication in IEEE conference, which is going to be Scopus indexed shortly. So it got published on 15th of Feb only. So it needs some more time. So
Okay, Mohanty sir, in total you tell us how many book chapter, how many journals, how many conference,
sir,
rather than
total of
reading entire
11,
book.
11 PhD specific outputs are there, sir. Uh,
How many chapters, how many papers, how many conferences
Sir,
process?
actually, I have not counted it, but looking into the screen, I can say there are two book chapters and approximately 3 to 4
Okay,
articles
fine.
published in ISBN like journals, and then one UGC and one Scopus to be Scopus shortly.
Okay.
And these are my non-academic related publications in this period.
Very good. Very good. Have you done?
Yes, sir. I'm done.
So, thank you, Mr. Mohanty. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Sir, just a minute, sir. Mobile phone.
Am I audible?
Hold on, sir. He is clarifying. आपको आवाज आ रही है मोदी
नहीं
सर? मेरे
नहीं,
लैपटॉप से आ रही
आपकी
है?
आवाज आ रही है सर, बीच बीच में कभी लो हो जाती है तो वो बिगड़ता है।
Am I audible now?
Just a minute, sir.
He is setting up his apparatus, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, I'm not able to hear you through my device. Huh. I can use a second device, sir. Just give me a minute. Just one more minute. Mute.
Good. Hello.
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 Yes, sir.
Yes,
Sir,
sir.
you're
Sir,
audible, please.
Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're clearly audible, sir.
Yeah.
Yep. So we should start reverse questioning from the last point to the first point we'll go.
Sure, sir.
First time pointing out the number of publications that you made out of this research.
Sir, total.
Only I'm not interested in total. I'm interested in how many Scopus publication you have made.
Sir, I have submitted one paper to Scopus last year,
Last year,
but I'm not getting any response till
on
now.
still now.
One paper,
How many Scopus publication you made out of thesis?
sir. One paper is there, sir.
Not able to hear you clearly.
Sir, my
Sir, my
one paper is there,
paper
sir.
is there,
One
sir.
paper.
One paper.
One paper only.
Yes, sir.
So you have taken 10-year time to complete your PhD?
Yes, sir. It
Yes,
is
sir.
total
It is
10 years
total
time, sir.
Don't you think that it is an extraordinary, very higher span of time?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you,
I'll
sir,
tell
the
you, sir, the
reasons. There are
reasons. There are
so many
so many
reasons.
reasons.
When I
When I
started this
started this
PhD, sir, for
PhD, sir,
first
for
2 years,
first
I
two
was
years,
not
I was
able to
not
have a
able to have
topic.
a
I was actually
only
struggling to frame
struggling to
one.
frame one.
So there were
So
two
there were two
different titles
different
which have
titles
been
which have been
changed in
changed
the
in
initial
the
phase of
initial
two
phase of
years.
2 years.
And
And
then in
then
my
in my
first
first
annual
annual
presentation,
presentation,
the
the
title was
title
again restructured back to zero.
to zero.
So for first 3 years, I was not able to concentrate anything
Read
on it.
anything on it.
And thereafter, you see, sir,
And then
Not able. I hope you need to unmute. I'm not able to hear you.
uh,
Sorry to intervene, sir. I would like to intervene this point. He started his way. The point what he's going to take 10 years. The basic problem is one student enrolled. After 6 months, we have the presentation that what he is doing. So he has twice in a year he was having the problem with the title. So title modification took place, and later on the two guides had been changed. Otherwise, his doing work is in progress, and because of this problem, and later on COVID, it got delayed.
Basic. I'm looking at the time span because 10 years is
Yeah,
too much
this is the
time.
reason. Sir. This
Uh,
is the
a
reason.
lot a lot has happened. A lot has changed in the uh, banking sector, in the financial sector, because 10 years back technology was hardly used, but nowadays there is hardly any person who do not use the technology. So the sea change has already happened. So how, Mr. Mohanty, you have witnessed this change and how it was possible for you to incorporate such fast changes in your study?
uh, am I audible, sir?
sir,
Am I
am I
audible?
audible?
Yes, yes.
Sir,
Sir,
my
my
study
study
was complete in
complete in
2022, sir.
2022, sir.
Thereafter, it was
Thereafter,
due
it
to
was due to
Scopus only. I
Scopus
was not
only. I
able
was
to
not
appear
able
in
to
my
appear in
final
my
Viva.
final Viva.
But
But
I tell you
I
one
tell
thing,
you
sir.
one thing, sir.
I
I
started this
started this
topic,
topic,
started working
started
on this
working on
topic
this
in
topic in
2014.
2014.
And if you
And
see
if you
my
see my
latest thesis
latest
that I have
thesis
submitted for your evaluation,
evaluation,
is like
is
in
like
year
in
2020,
20
consultancy firms
consultancy
are
firms
still
are
putting
still
up an
putting up an
emphasis on this concept of e-banking
e-banking
lounge
lounge
and the
and the
like
like
ecosystem related
ecosystem
to it.
related to it.
And
And
this is what is
this is
given
what is
by
given by
consultancy
consultancy
firms, which is
firms, which is
supporting my
supporting my
argument.
argument.
And you
And
see, since
you see, since
2020,
2020,
which was post-COVID period, now you see
now you
things
see
have again
things have again
started coming
started
up.
coming up.
There are so
There are
many things which has come
has
up and they have disrupted the
disrupted
system
the
totally.
system totally.
Like you see,
Like
yes, it has affected my
in my
study a lot,
study a lot,
but sir,
but sir,
sometimes
sometimes
you don't have
you
much
don't
of
have much of
discretion.
discretion.
You have to
You have
fulfill
to
certain
fulfill certain
criterias before
criteria
you
before
come
you
for your
come for
final
your
viva.
final viva.
So
So
even though my study is
even though my
complete
study
somewhere
is
in
complete
2021-22, so I
2022,
have to
so I
hold
have to
back for
hold
the
back for the
Scopus
Scopus
publication.
publication.
And because
And
of
because
this
of this
objection of
objection of
our CIDP department, I have to
department, I
hold
have
back.
to
Now you
hold
see,
back. Now you
if it
see,
is
if it
getting
is
delayed
getting
further,
delayed
it's
further,
very
it's
tough to
very tough
defend
to
the same
defend the
topic
same
because
topic.
things in market have
It
changed a
have
lot.
changed a lot.
This consumer
Well,
technology
well,
readiness
that
is
is
Technology
not
still
the
readiness
answer,
still
is
relevant.
still relevant.
Mr. Mohanty. You are not responding to my question. My question is the 10-year time is too much. How the banking sector has changed over a period of 10 years and how you were able to cope up with those changes in your research. That was my question. That was not the first question was related to the span of study. But second question was related to the how you have been able to cope up with the changes that have taken place in banking sector in last 10 years.
Sir, I'll take up your first question first. Sir, what I've seen is in this last 10 years time, you see, sir, let me tell you one thing. This consumer technology readiness construct is given by Parshuraman, who is operating in United States. And if you compare their banking system and our banking system, we are lagging behind for almost 1 to 2 decades. So what they're doing, like maybe in is going to happen in India in 2020s. Now you see this consumer technology readiness. If you search, you don't find. So I'm looking into the banking dimension, and I'm trying to convey one thought process of mine, that is like Indian consumers, when it comes to technology readiness, mapping them till date. But if it is like if this concept is by someone in foreign country and we try to incorporate this thing in India, maybe our banking system will have good like outcomes from the same. This technology adoption, technology in India is still not acceptable. Why? Because people have lots of reluctance. You go to rural area, I don't think so people in rural using technology a lot. So younger generation, the new generation which is coming in is good with technology, but the is having lots of issues. So we need to have branch model in rural India and places where we have youngster. You see, transition is like we are changing from branch model to model. And this concept of consumer technology readiness and digitalization, they're doing it on
How
their own, is actually the future of banking in India.
how many branches in the rural India you visited during your study?
Sir, I'm not able to. Sir, rural India, actually, in look at my title, this was related to digitalization, and the
That
scope
is
of my
fine.
study
That is
is
fine. That
only
is
into
fine.
metro cities
But
of North
but
India. So rural
but you are
India is not actually covered in my study, sir. Why?
but
Because you
why
see, if you
then if it is not covered, then why you are passing a reference for rural Indian banking?
you see
Anything that is not covered, that you are not visited, how you can pass a judgment on that area? You are
actually
passing you are passing an inference that this is what is happening in rural India, which you are not witnessed in your study. So a researcher cannot pass any judgment on it on an area that has not been researched by him. This is how there is a difference between a researcher and a layman. A layman can say anything, but a researcher has to say everything logical.
I
What has prompted you to undertake this research?
Sir, my motivation for taking up this study, this is like, sir, because I started in 2014. So in my first round of my study, I rejected. The study was earlier on financial literacy scale. So you see, that was by the board because it don't
Uh,
area which is related to my own field of experience. Prior to working in a bank, have seen this, which is e-banking lounge. Thought why not to experiment on that topic, because in initial stage of my literature review, when I was searching for some, I was not able to figure out anything on e-banking lounge. This concept is because I've seen. So audible.
yeah,
So I'm saying, sir, in my initial stage of my study, especially literature review, tough, like because I was not able to get experts from India So
they do have their own notions. Yes, this type of product is more viable. So when I started this study, I've taken good feedback from industry people, so who were supporting that this is what
this was in
it was in 2014. Now it is 2024, 10 years past.
is my
Problem is my weakness, that I was not able to complete my project on time. But in 2014, scenario was such where it was actually a big game changer which was going to
How
come in into
how
market.
how many people from the banking industry you interacted with?
Sir, just
How many people
sir,
in? Sir, you are asking for bankers or customers?
Banker or
Okay.
customer? Yes.
So
So
approximately,
approximately
sir, 20 to 25 bankers.
25.
I have attached it in my sheet. If you want, I can
I
share you
can
the
share
sheet,
you
sir.
the sheet.
They all are in my
Not, I'm
project,
not asking to share the sheet.
sir.
How
Exactly,
many people from
you can take
banking
it
You can take it
industry?
approximately 25 people who are there in banks who have been.
Only 25.
So they
So
people
they
are all
people are all
senior,
senior
and they have
and they
given
have
their
given their
feedback. Actually,
feedback.
they
Actually,
gave
they
their
gave their
feedback. Based on that
feedback.
feedback, we started this
With
internal
the
initial process of
process of
screening. And
screening
after screening, we talked to
after
people who were there in user
the
interface
interface,
dimension, giving their
giving their
feedback.
feedback.
Not able to hear you properly.
Sir, am I audible, sir? Is it audible now?
Not able to hear you properly.
Sir,
Sir,
am I
Well,
am I
audible?
audible?
well, Mr. Mohanty, apart from your presentation, whatever I'm asking, in fact, you are so enthusiastic to pass a judgment or inference that is not duly spotted by the logic. If you are interacting with only 25 people, so 25 people from